Everybody to the inaugural chapter all call for Division 6. I'm Trustee 2, Mandolin Dillahunt, and I'm actually part of 1201 as well as a Family Matters Trustee and the Retiree and Veteran Affairs POC as well. But welcome. Today we have with us Chief Lockovic, who will be presenting. But first, I'm going to turn it over to DP Bappy to tell us the why of why we're here. DP Bappy.
Awesome. Thank you, Trustee Dillahunt. Thanks everybody for joining. We all know everyone's time is extremely valuable. So again, from the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you. And thank you for stepping up to lead. Everyone, for the most part, everyone is pushed outside their comfort zone when taking on the roles within a local AFSA chapter, whether it be president, vice president, a trustee. 9 times out of 10, it's uncomfortable. But a lot of the feedback that we have gotten from chapters, from chapter leaders, members, trustees, a lot of the time it's, hey, y'all are communicating, but we need more help, right? And we've taken that feedback, we've noted it. We're going to start doing monthly all calls and have a different topic each once a month to help try to set everybody up for success. So this is going to be our first one. And the goal out of this is to arm everybody to have some of those conversations and confidently speak, right? When you're out recruiting, retaining, or maybe even you're just talking to airmen, family, friends about ways that their voice can be heard. We're doing everything we can. And so an idea that we came up with between the Division 6 Executive Council was getting back to the basics. What are the basics of our association? What were we founded in? We were founded on the principles of legislation. To advocate for folks, to improve quality of life. So that'll help you confidently speak. That'll help membership, should help retentions, but most importantly, it can help folks have a voice, give folks resources. In the invite, when we sent out the invite, we put in there little one-pagers. We call them one-pagers that we got from AFSA staff, from our military, not liaison, but from our folks up in staff, right, that they put together and they hand out to folks. I got these from Mr. Jonathan Nutman, and he gave us the approval to go ahead and send them out and help you all. They've really helped me get down to being able to explain some of the things that we're supporting, and hopefully it'll help you all too. But tonight's goal is just to help everybody become comfortable with what our mission is, some history of AFSA, as good as it's going to be presented by Chief Lockovic. So I want everyone to be sharp as a tack, confident, and really just over communicate and be able to talk about AFSA just right down to and answer questions people are going to have down to our business. And with that, I will go ahead and turn the floor back over to Trustee Dillahunt. Thanks all.
Thanks, DP. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Chief Jim Lockovic, who has spent 25 years in the Air Force, which culminated in 1994 at the Pentagon, where he was Chief of the United States Air Force enlisted professional military education and the functional manager for all first sergeants, now known as Diamond 1. At the start of January 1994, he went from the Pentagon to AFSA headquarters, where he became AFSA's top lobbyist and was also in charge of all contacts with the United States Air Force and government leaders. He did this for 13 long and very busy years and was directly involved in working Congress to create many of the quality of life things we enjoy today as a family and military members. He testified before the United States Congress numerous times. He has continued to work with AFSA legislative leadership and has been a key player in our association's legislative program for about half of AFSA's existence, 32 to 33 years. Today, he serves as a member of the Association's International Legislative Committee and as our very own Division Legislative Trustee. Chief Lockovic, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you all for coming. There are certain things that I want to impart during this briefing, and as soon as we see the slides here in a minute, we'll get into it. But basically, we're going to talk about when you recruit. when you're talking to other people, when you're trying to bring them into our AFSA family, I'm going to, during this briefing, be urging you to make sure that you incorporate two basic but very important things in your recruiting efforts. The first is to communicate to them and make them understand that AFSA is absolutely critical to the quality of their lives as a military member, as a military family member, as a military retiree, veteran, or survivor. And second, they need to understand that the Department of Defense, the Department of War, and the services do not and never have created a quality of life benefit program. In fact, they have nothing to do with determining your pay raises or your benefit programs. The Department of Defense and the services implement these programs when the law says that they must. Basically, your benefits change when the law changes. AFSA has been incredibly successful for nearly 65 years now. Another couple weeks will be 65 years in convincing Congress to mandate such changes.
One second, Chief. I'm having some technical difficulties, of course.
All right. As I mentioned, the Department of Defense and the services do not initiate quality of life benefit programs. In fact, the Department of Defense does not even control its own budget. Each year, at the beginning of the year, it will ask for a certain amount of money for the following fiscal year and hope that they get it, but it's up to Congress. Several months later, when the Department of Defense finds out what it has to spend, it's going to spend based on priorities. It will first always put their money that they had to spend towards operational programs, weapon systems, R&D dollars, acquisition programs, O&M funds, and so forth. Relatively lower in priority, but certainly important, are personnel programs. Your pay, your allowances, where your benefits come from, your quality of life benefit programs, and so forth. Next slide, please. The third priority that DoD follows, and relatively relative to the other two, back, there. Thank you. Back, there. So the Department of Defense spends based on spending priorities. The lowest priority that the Department of Defense has are retirement and survivor programs. If the Department of Defense has to cut funding, they will always do it there first, and then in the area of personnel programs, and last in the area of operational programs. They have to operate that way because they do have such an important mission, and that is to fight and win wars and protect the homeland, protect our national interests. So if they have nothing to do with your benefit programs, where do they come from? The clear and simple answer is they come from you. Your ideas through our legislative platform, the target list that we provide to our lobbying team in Washington every year, and I'll go into that in just a minute, is given to our team. Our team takes those messages up to the Hill, and through the process of lobbying and testifying before congressional committees, and sometimes getting you involved, we call that the grassroots, that's what you are. We asked Congress to put things into legislation, in our case, the defense bill, the annual National Defense Authorization Act. Once that defense bill, which is huge, a lot of things on weapon systems and a lot of other things, but also personnel programs, quality of life programs. Once that defense bill is signed into law, anything that's in it must be implemented because it is public law now. The people have spoken. And in our case, it's the Department of Defense. So if we can get Congress to put something in a defense bill, say, for example, the creation of a few years ago of adoption leave, The Department of Defense was told in the defense bill, you will establish a program of adoption leave in the military services. And that's where your benefits basically come from. Next slide, please. We need to communicate how our members determine our targets and how our members help us and our association achieve them. You got to keep in mind that our association is one that is uniquely of our members, by our members, and for our members of all categories. Our legislative platform, which is our target list, our target blueprint that we give to our lobbying team in Washington. If you want to see the entire current platform, you can go to hqafsa.org, AFSA's website. At the top of the page, click on legislation and look at the platform. It's built based on member input. Again, uniquely, our association pursues those things that our member tasks our headquarters with pursuing. Telling AFSA what you need during the year. That input comes during the year from our chapters through our divisions. In the case of our division, often to me through your legislative trustee. And we put together, and also you will be asked to complete surveys during the year. All those inputs go to headquarters, and about January every year, our headquarters team and also the International Legislative Committee will construct a draft platform. We call it the proposed platform for the following year. And then at the International Convention, it is discussed by our members and it is ratified. The new platform is the proposed platform, ratified or approved by our membership. If you're going to this year's convention in August in Orlando, at a certain point, you will discuss the new platform and you will ratify it. You'll approve it. And that's where our platform comes from. Once we construct a platform, once it's ratified, that becomes our new target list. And you have now tasked our headquarters team with carrying that message to Capitol Hill, trying to get those items that are in that platform incorporated into legislation through the process of lobbying, which is very basically simply visiting members of Congress and their staffs, sometimes catching them in hallways, sometimes catching them at socials, but taking a minute to informally communicate with them on those things that our members are pursuing. Testimony is formal. It's submitting written statements and sometimes making oral statements before committees. Again, those that are looking at quality of life benefit matters, which is all we concern ourselves with. Grassroots, that's you again. That's our chapters. That's our people in the field, our eyes and ears. We do have, the more members we have, the more grassroots muscle we have, and it significantly increases our chances of success. You do that, you communicate with Congress. If you go to the AFSA website under legislation, go to the Action Center, you will see a bunch of pre-written letters with an explanation of the issues. Put in your personal information, your phone, your voting address, your email address, and hit send, and you've just communicated with your elected officials very simply and very easily. It is really cool. It's something that the association invests in for you. You can personally communicate during the year with your elected officials and so forth. One thing to keep in mind, though, is the more members we have, the more membership we have, the greater is our influence in Washington. And I'm not just saying that, I'm saying that from experience. The associations, the members of Congress are very aware of the size of associations and what we do and how we honestly or otherwise represent the needs of our members. AFSA is highly respected. As you recruit, you need to explain to your prospective recruits why we need them and the input that they'll be able to provide and why we value having them as members of our team. Next slide, please. I mentioned our legislative platform. These are just a few of the items from the current legislative platform. If you go to hqafsa.org, look at the whole thing, you'll see these. I'm just going to touch on these very fast. I don't have time to go into them, but I can for any of you that want. restore BAH from 95% to 100%, targeted basic pay raises for junior enlisted. We've made great progress on that recently. We're going to continue working toward that. Non-chargeable bereavement leave. Bereavement leave is a program that we were able to convince Congress to put in a defense bill to give you up to 2 weeks non-chargeable leave if your spouse or child passes away, to handle or begin the process of bereavement, to handle the funeral requirements and so forth. When the Department of Defense got a hold of it from the defense bill, Congress did not make the language explicit enough. So DOD said, well, if you got more than 30 days leave, you're going to have to burn your own leave down to 30 days before it will become non-chargeable. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a foul, and we're working to get that fixed. We believe you ought to be able to transfer your annual leave to other airmen. We're working towards improved child care opportunities and affordability. Covered dependents until age 26 under TRICARE standard. Right now it's age 21 or 23 if they're in college full-time. And then the only option they have till age 26 is to go to TRICARE Young Adult Program, which is incredibly expensive. It's not right. We're calling for increased support for military spouse employment to allow for full concurrent receipt of VA disability and military retirement for all VA disability levels, and for Guard and Reserve, zero-cost TRICARE coverage, full training credit toward their retirement formula, which is different than the one that you have, and to lower the basic retirement age for the Guard and Reserve from 60 to 55. Next, please. Again, these are the kinds of things you need to communicate as you're trying to recruit people. Now, we have been doing this for about 65 years. I had the honor of doing it for a good number of years and have had an input ever since. But I decided to just show you some things from the last 5 years because people will say, well, what have you done for me lately? The Department of Defense had nothing to do with the creation of these, nor did the Air Force. They were executed to a great extent because of the work that ASSA did after the law changed. Higher pay raises and assurance in law that the annual military pay raise will be no lower than private sector wage growth. Creation of the basic needs allowance, which is extra money for those that receive the least in basic pay relative to the national poverty level. Creation of the bereavement leave program itself that I just spoke about. An increase in parental leave to 12 weeks, modification of BAH calculation so that BAH for junior enlisted would increase, increases in areas that are eligible for CONUS COLA. Next. Overseas COLA adjustments no more than twice a year or in connection with a PCS move. It used to change several times a year. Authorization for DOD to pay temporary lodging expense for more than 10 days in competitive housing markets. DOD was given the authority to increase BAH in high-cost areas, increase in family separation allowance from $250 to $400, authority for members to transfer their GI Bill benefit after 16 years. You may remember when the post 9/11 GI Bill came out, and DOD implemented it. They said, well, you can only make your transfer decision up until 16 years in service. We convinced Congress rather to put in the defense bill an item telling DOD they can do it after the 16-year point. And again, these are things that ASSA did. These are things you need to communicate. These are just examples. Again, next, please. Supportive spouses and families and housing, big items now. Creation of the Tenant Bill of Rights for those who live in base housing. Increase in spousal PCS license reimbursement. Right now, the costs they may have to pay for licensing or recertifications at a new location. Right now, you can collect up to $1,000 per PCS move. You have to ask for it. DOD was directed to hire military spouses directly at overseas locations. Expansion of spousal career assistance resources for military spouses. DOD to work with states to achieve reciprocity of spousal licenses so they'll be valid from state to state, which will eliminate a good number of problems. Significant CDC, Child Development Center funding increases and DoD child care, reimbursement for other than CDC care, and so forth. Next slide. Required parental awareness and input for DoD school curriculums. A number of our members complained that the Department of Defense was changing curriculums in schools without parents having any say or awareness of what their kids were being taught. Now DoD is required to do that thanks to changes in the defense bill. General benefits, commissaries must remain open during government shutdowns, fairness to all service members, and the pricing of military uniforms. We pursued that because very basically, women in the military for a good number of years were at a significant disadvantage in paying more for their basic required uniforms than male members were. And although we don't get into that generally, this was an unfairness, and DoD was told to clean up that situation. For Guard and Reserve, BAH special incentive pays for Guard and Reserve members under conditions similar to active duty, and expansion of Guard and Reserve parental leave. Next slide. Under healthcare, waived cost sharing for the first 3 outpatient mental health visits for active duty family members and users of the TRICARE Young Adult Program. We were able to stop significant healthcare facility downsizing that DoD had planned to do. We're able to block DoD plans for higher healthcare costs for military retirees. For veterans and survivors, increased funding for healthcare and compensation programs, enhanced claims processing for veterans. And many of you are familiar with the PACT Act, which is now in effect. And that's where you'll be eligible for compensation and correction for things, for example, that have happened to you, maladies that you may have because of exposure to burn pits, for example, overseas. Again, those are just 5 slides talking about just a few of the things that we've achieved in the last 5 years. As you recruit, as you work to bring people into our family, communicate those kinds of things. Next, please. There's some contact information for you. While you're looking at that, as a form of closure, I just want to say to you, this briefing is only a start. You need to incorporate into your recruiting efforts an explanation of the critical nature of our legislative programs and our efforts of our programs in promoting the quality of their lives. Very important for them, and it will be for the rest of their lives. If you wish, I am ready and will be available. We can work it out easy enough, perhaps by Zoom. For you, your members, private orgs on your base, any other individuals or groups that you want to communicate with or that you want to target for membership, how they should join us, and how they will then, as members, play a vital role in our efforts at improving their lives every day. The bottom line, we need to capture new members to be even more successful, to have more influence, and perhaps more important, we need you to communicate to them that they need us. And that AFSA is a life changer for them. All of those things you need to communicate as you're trying to help us grow this great association. And with that, ma'am, I turn it back to you.
Thank you, Chief Lockovic, for all your work and your continued work with the division and AFSA as a whole. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, so if you haven't heard, now you're going to hear about the Division 6 membership campaign that's happening right now. DP Bappy, it's over to you.
Zing, thank you, and great job, Chief Lockovic. We always love hearing about everything AFSA has done and continues to do. And also thank you for your support and willingness to help out. Many of us on the call can attest to that those are not empty words. Chief Lockovic will go out of his way to help you, your chapters, your general memberships. Things that Chief's done in the past is called into general membership meetings, the one-on-one sessions with executive councils. Truly is a resource and very knowledgeable. Chief has walked the halls of Congress as an advocate for you through AFSA. And an underlying message I kept hearing as Chief talked was a voice, right? You have a voice, our members have a voice, they have a voice in the legislative platform directly from you all, from us, from our members. That's a direct line to congressional reps. And then your voice, right? Your voice is going to carry that message as well as to what's going on up on the Hill to our members, which is vital to benefits that affect us all. So again, thank you, Chief. And with that, we'll roll over into membership. Trustee Ward was unable to be with us tonight due to a conflict. He had a prior engagement, but he wanted me to pass on a couple notes. One of them is practice, prepare. And this is one of those education sessions that can help us out with that. As Chief said, the foundational knowledge, right? And we can build on this. Also, we want to pass on, know your knowledge and be familiar with AFSA, where we've came from, things that AFSA has been directly involved in or directly accomplished. And those are available on the AFSA website as well as from Chief, as well as from any of the regional directors on this call, as well as myself. We also want me to pass on that AFSA, it's all ranks. It's not just Air Force, it's all military. And be relatable, which is very, very valid, right? Be relatable. What's a way to be relatable? Explain your why. Why are you part of AFSA? Why are you out there recruiting for AFSA? I know for most of us on the call, we truly believe in something bigger than ourselves and that we have a voice and that we want to expand our voice. Something that I have recently started doing is, especially in FTAC, I did it at a general membership meeting recently too, is at FTAC, I'll call on one person, an airman. I'll say, give me a HUA or ask me a question, ask me for a pay raise, something along those lines. Then we'll talk about AFSA, and then by the end of the call, I'll say, hey, give me that HUA again, or ask me that question again. And then I'll have them all do it as a group, tell them to have fun with it, right? They get a little ridiculous, right? But the louder that they are, or the more into it they get, the louder they get. Then by the end of it, I'll explain that is exactly how AFSA works. That's exactly how impactful our Voices United are. And it really helps draw that picture to folks. So explain your why, be relatable, invite them to your membership meetings and give them some items. He relayed, give them a card. Maybe it has your next general membership meeting location. Something that 1257 recently did was they even built folders here. Some of those items that I emailed out, they leveraged them and they sent them out to with some members over to the wing, briefed the wing, and they gave a packet. They went to Walmart and bought these folders for about 50 cents. They printed off those documents and then gave folders out to the wing command team as well as to anybody else that was at a wing staff meeting. So that's an innovative idea as well. So he wanted me to pass on those notes. All the pricing and everything, this discounted prices, and right now that you got to use the membership special application and submit that to headquarters AFSA via email. Of note on that, please fill in that recruiter or retainer line. And I went ahead and I shared my screen, and it's highlighted in yellow here, that recruiter retainer line for your name. That's going to be you or the folks recruiting and retaining. Make sure you get that, and your chapter, please. There are some times when applications get processed with headquarters that sometimes it doesn't process with your information on there. We give out division milestone awards. Those are awards equivalent to wing level, MAJCOM level awards. They're the next echelon up, right? Get credit for that. And if it needs to be rectified, if you call AFSA headquarters or email member and field services, it will get back to you. As long as they're not on a wellness week, they will get back to you same day. And Miss Kibler, I'm telling you, she loves the conversations. She was Air Force herself. She was in the medical field, and she loves to help and she loves conversations. And it's always a pleasant conversation. So those were those membership notes to pass on. And I will stop sharing my screen. A few key things that we wanted to talk about as well is going to be some performers that we've got in the division. So who are some of our top performers, right? Well, with retentions, those can sometimes be kind of challenging, right? It can be challenging. But with our top retainers so far as pulled from our system, We've got DVP Dobler. He's got year-to-date 2 members retained. He's at 1252. And then at chapter 1261 in Tucson, Arizona, we've got 1 retention with Shannon Wimberly. She's our membership trustee. And then we've also got 1 more person with a retention at 1179, chapter president Crispin Alfonso. So got some awesome stuff going on there. Great job to everybody for putting in those efforts. And then if we're going to take a second here and give some shout outs to recruiters as well within the Division 6 for year to date so far. So for year to date so far, once again from 1261 in Tucson, Arizona, we've got Sergeant Shannon Wimberly. She's got a total of 17 recruits year to date. And from my understanding, there's still a few more applications that are getting processed. Well on her way to her first milestone of 25. Great work. Next up from chapter 1320 at the glorious Travis Air Force Base, we've got chapter president Lemonius with 7 year-to-date recruits. So great job. Next up from 1320, that's going to be Edwards Air Force Base, chapter president Betchley with 7 recruits as well. So great job there. And then we'll go to 5. At 1163, the Beehive chapter, we've got Sergeant Hurd. He's got 6 year-to-date recruits. Great work. And then at chapter 1201, that's going to be our Albuquerque Kirtland Air Force Base chapter. Chapter President McKinney with 5 year-to-date recruits. And then 2 more. Chapter President Barros at 1261, 5 year-to-date recruits. And then Staff Sergeant Dax Wilson, 1320. He's got 5 recruits year-to-date. So great work to all those folks. Great work. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that our division, our folks in the division, had a voice. So with that, we're going to turn it over to somebody on that list. We're going to turn the floor over to Sergeant Wimberly. She's got 17 recruits year to date. And from our understanding, there's still some more applications that need to be processed, which is awesome. But we wanted to hear from the field. What's working? What are some things that didn't work? What are some lessons learned? How are you doing all that, right? So with that, ma'am, we're going to give the floor over to you for a few minutes. And we'd love to hear why at 1261? Why is what's up with these numbers? How are you doing it? And with that, ma'am, the floor is yours.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Senior Master Sergeant Wimberly from Davis-Monthan Desert Lightning Team, Chapter 1261. Shout out to us. So I'm gonna look off to the side because I need notes. Otherwise, I'm gonna ramble. So I'm just gonna look off to the side. So there's some things that I thought of that I believe helps me. I think being a prior ALS instructor helps. When I was a staff sergeant, I was. So one of the things that you're taught is when you're starting a curriculum, starting a lesson, you must have an attention step. The attention step is me explaining what AFSA is and what it isn't. So just like you were saying before, I do explain Air Force Sergeants Association isn't because it's just for the enlisted or just us, that it transcends that, officers, all branches, this is for the military, that is what we do. So that's what I start off with when I'm in FTech specifically, because I'll ask who has heard of it. And if they haven't, I'll explain it. Or if someone thinks they know what it is, I'll call on them, have them explain it. But just going over some of the little notes that I have here. Let's see. We go where the airmen already have to be. So newcomers briefs, everyone has to go there. So that is something that we stop at. Also FTech exposure, they have to go there. All the airmen do. And if you want to start off really early explaining that to people, why AFSA is important, they will continue to push this on into their later ranks, because I first was exposed to what AFSA was when I was actually at tech school and they explained what it was. And I've been a member since then. Maybe it lapsed one time, and then I went back because they were talking about what membership was and why it was important for me. So I remember that, and that's why the places where airmen are, we try to go to. For any other chapters that have an ALS or an NCOA, also see if you can get in on a lunch, see if you can be a guest speaker during commandant's time. Like I said, I was an instructor, so there are times where commandant just wants speakers to come in, and that's just another opportunity to talk to those who are about to transition into being supervisors, and they can also take AFSA information with them. Let's see what else. How you present AFSA matters. So I know we have a slideshow, and part of how I was taught to instruct was not just going off of the slides, but that's there as an assistant, not as you turning to it and just reading it. Because if you're going to FTAC, if you're going to ALS, or if you're at an NCOA and it's an all call, they have already been inundated with fire hose effective information. So you have to make what you're saying about AFSA actually stick out. So I connect to what I remember airmen giving what they called the Air Force story brief. All of those reasons I remember why they joined the Air Force are the things that I hone in on. And I take a pause on our slideshow. So pay, medical, education, stability, and family are typically the reasons people join the military, not just the Air Force. So those are the legislations back from when AFSA started up until most recent legislations that I hit on. I usually start with pay. We had a recent pay raise of 4.5% for folks at my rank, and then for the airmen, boosting it up to where it's 10%. So I hit on that because I want to perk their ears up. I want them to start listening to me. Wait, money? So because that's why they joined, because they want a steady paycheck. So I talk about that pay, and if I have a senior airman or whatnot with me, supporting me with that, I ask them, hey, can you explain like what it was before, like what your pay was before that, and now how it is now? So I start on that piece just to wake them up a bit. And then I start talking about medical, and that's where I will look on the slides, and the ones that I'll stop on are dependents and spouses, not just ours, because we have to show full circle about what AFSA is about. So it's not just us as enlisted members. It's also, hey, this affects your family. Oh, this can affect your kids, as well as this transcends what you are currently. This goes through to when you retire. So that's how I present that package there. Just some other things that I have on my notes. Connect those directly to AFSA's impact. Use real examples like pay raises, tuition assistance. I stop on that because I do remember a time when I was an airman, tuition assistance was on the chopping block. So I also mentioned, hey, you're welcome. TA now is a different pot of money that's protected. And I know that's why a lot of you join. I talk about my CAA because I knew it existed. It wasn't until I paid more attention to what AFSA has actually done over the years that this was something that was lobbied for dependents. So I mentioned, if you never heard of my CAA and you're married, because they start writing this down, oh, I don't know what that is. My spouse is here, blah, blah, blah. I talk about my CAA. And then medical benefits. And since it's already up on the board, they write it down. So I'm trying to get them also engaged to remember what I'm saying with something they might not really know, but affects their family. Let's see, I already talked about that. And then I mentioned recent things. So before I move on to the next thing, I say, did we all just go through something like a government shutdown? And they all shake their head. Yeah, we did. And how that was uncertain and how long it lasted. And I said, this is the thing that the legislation AFSA is getting after, is trying to, they're trying to stop that from actually being on a chopping block. And I think that really gets full circle when I talk about our pay, because that was 45 or something days where someone had to front the money essentially. Other agencies, other areas, other pots of money had to give us that money just so we could get paid. So I also mentioned, like, these are the things that your money is going for, that's investing. I'm not just asking for $36 because I want you to just have your name on something. It's actually benefiting you now. And this goes forward until you retire. Because a lot of those things that AFSA has gotten after, like my CAA, which was years ago, probably before I came in, this actually helps me now. Let's see. And then I also tell them to check on their return on investment with legislative accomplishments. I give them the website. So I say, if you spend $36 this year, don't just do it. Make sure it's working for you. So in the next year, if you're thinking about re-upping or renewing with AFSA, look at the accomplishments page to see what new legislations we have actually gotten passed. And if $36, which is the cost of dinner for one person now, can boost AFSA throughout an entire year, and also affect changes for your retirement if you're going to, in fact, stay in 20 years. That's a good $36. But I also put it to them, like, I'm not just asking for your money. Make sure you are checking for those receipts that is actually doing something. And it plants the seed for them to go check. So if they actually go into the accomplishments page, then they're probably going to read the whole thing, not just this year. So they also learn even more about AFSA. So I plant that seed purposefully, not trying to be manipulative, but I know what it means if they go and check it. They're going to read the whole thing. Not only that, next note I have here is visibility before membership. So our particular chapter is collaborated with Spouses Group and then also 5-6. Do we necessarily get members during that? No, but they see us there. The curiosity might be there. So if they wonder who got us this free pizza and free bowling, for Airman's Week or whatnot, they actually see us there. And I'm there in case people have questions, but I don't press it because that's not the point. At least for me, that's not the point of the event. The point is that they see this is what we're doing for airmen, so that when they come to a meeting, they realize that was something that AFSA also had a hand in. So we just don't do things by ourselves. Sometimes planting the seed, that recognition comes before the commitment. So they see us, the commitment can come later. Like, just reiterating, expanding beyond the airmen includes spouses and families. When they understand AFSA, it becomes a household conversation. You're not just building members, you're actually building advocates. And then the last 3 points that I have, all of that stuff AFSA does is great. But your chapter actually has to have a return on investment for those airmen professionally. So you need to highlight what your chapter is actually doing. That's what I do. So when I get done with all the goodies of the lobbying on Capitol Hill, I talk about what our chapter actually means for you if you join it. So I talk about, I focus on leadership opportunities, professional development, volunteerism, community involvement. I speak about what those things actually mean for them, especially at the airman tier. If they're wanting to be a chief, if they're wanting to go for a special duty one day, leadership is something you start molding now. And I talk about some of the events we've either done, community things we've done. We have like we visit with veterans. We, as in Chapter 1261, we go and visit with veterans, and I talk about that, like we're actually returning back that money to our community and also to our retired veterans. How we, on Sundays, either walk them to church, sit, play bingo with them. The volunteerism, bundles for babies, that is a thing that our chapter assists with donations and also putting those together. And professional development, we at some points will have legislative members of Arizona actually come and do professional development. And then the leadership opportunities, if they're not ready to actually be an exec member, we can at least make people a committee lead or POC. So there are 2 A1Cs who are the POCs for Bundle for Babies. That's a base-wide effect. We also have, my notes. Okay. We also have, we talk about the competitive edge over peers, but not that should be a box to check. but that if you're doing something you're passionate about, these are the consistent things that it will actually bring you as an airman, as a military member, no matter what they're doing. And then I top that off with the real success stories of our AFSA members. So our vice president is a senior airman. That's not really typical for many agencies on base. But then I highlight that so that airmen see, oh, this just isn't ran by a whole bunch of NCOs, that they can do this. And on top of that, before she was a senior airman there, I think she did our events, and she got airman below the zone because of the things she was leading and the impact it was. And I'd also explained that our organization is not a base agency, that it is recognized at a government level, and that's a pretty big deal when you have airmen dealing with an agency that transcends even the base. Talk about one of our members that was an airman was selected for commissioning. Our president right now made chief, not saying AFSA is the only reason, but I think that impact probably had a hand in it. And then we had members selected for specialized schools like Shirt School, and then our current president right there, which used to be our 1261 president. So look where you are. So I mentioned that to give them receipts on what I'm saying. And then my last point, show the community impact. If your chapter isn't getting after some of those things, start. Because there needs to be a reason they come around, and not just giving you money. And there's not some type of molding and training and leadership that's there for them as airmen in a professional sense. Highlight the community involvement, external recognition to show credibility and impact. Nothing, I don't think I've done is too complicated. I just appeal to what I remember airmen speaking to me about freely, why they joined, and I highlight those things to appeal and grab their attention, and it tends to work, and I think my numbers show that it's working. So that's just my little tips and my tricks. Yeah, if anyone has any questions or just wants to know more about what I talk about, you can look me up on Teams or anything. I'll be glad to share it with you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to give the floor back to Trustee Dillahunt in just a moment. But do have a question for you, and you hit that mark perfectly
Sure.
with time too, right to the 10 minutes for Q&A. So thank you for that.
Ramble if I don't have a note.
No, you did perfect. Do have a question. I think a lot of us, I'm one of them. I to a certain extent fear failure of walking up to someone and having that conversation.
Yeah.
Right? I've been the person before. If I'm being honest, it was about six months ago. Walked out from behind the booth to talk to somebody. We made eye contact, and I broke left and walked over to Panda Express and acted like I got in line. Right? Is it like that all the time? No, but sometimes it's hard to have that. How do you overcome that?
So funny story is, we used to have a booth that goes into BX, and we don't anymore. And I'm gonna tell you why. When people typically go to the BX, they have a mission already, and it's not to stop and talk. So they're either hungry, they're hurrying up trying to get something, they either got to shop and get out, or they're frustrated with how slow the pharmacy is going. So we don't do that. I'm not saying it won't work, but if you're gonna do that, do keep that in mind, that there are people who are there for a purpose and probably on a time crunch. So for me, if someone stops and looks, because they do this at the newcomers brief, right? They stop and look, because that's not actual brief that I give. I'll say, hey, do you know what this is? I just walk up. This is how I am. If I'm willing to come out and walk and talk to you, I think they naturally want to say something back. So that's what I do. I don't worry about that. And if they're saying I don't want to make a commitment right now, I give them the paper. I give them the application anyway. I write down 1261. I write down my name, and I say, hey, if you just want to see some of this in play, our meetings are this date. and then they put it in their phone and all of that stuff, and they typically show up. So if you're discouraged by someone not being a member, don't be. You still take the opportunity to give them the application. As you're filling out whatever pieces you need to with the application, do mention that you have a meeting on certain days. And those are the things that we go over. And that usually extends the conversation a little bit. And typically, they're the folks that I think I've had maybe 3 or 4 recruits out of a newcomer's brief. One wanted to transfer, because you have to think of that. Maybe some people already are in AFSA, and that's why they don't come to your booth, but they don't realize they can transfer. So when they stop and I say, "Hey, are you in AFSA?" "Yeah, I already am." "Are you here?" Well, no. I said, "Well, here you go. Fill this out and get you transferred over." Sometimes they don't know that. So I just try to make it a conversation, not about, I don't start off with why aren't you a member, and things of that nature. I just have a conversation to establish a quick rapport, ask them where they're coming from, how new are they, and then as they're talking to me, they're kind of looking down, looking around at the sign. So that's when I take that opportunity to say, "Do you know what AFSA is?" "Okay, well, let me explain what it's not." And then I start that spiel with, this isn't just for enlisted, because I talk to the officers as well. My goal is to have more officers in our thing. I've gotten one, and he was at my work center, and I talk about, you should be leading the way, you should be leading, it's not just for enlisted. So I do actually have one officer that is a member of our chapter, which I'm proud of that, but I'm trying to get more. So that's what I do. So don't go in thinking, I don't want to ask them for money. Don't ask them. Just start talking to them. BX probably won't get that interaction because they're on a mission to do something in the BX. But for the other places, absolutely, they're gonna stop if it's an info fair or something like that. So I was just looking at the chat to see if there was any other questions. Does that answer your question a little bit, or kind of help with that, sir?
Yes, it does. And thank you so
Okay.
much for that input.
Yeah.
I think it's just something that we all share, and sometimes we don't
Mhm.
express that. We express,
Yeah.
"Hey, let's just go get after it. We got some numbers to meet."
Yeah.
But it's even hard to talk about sometimes, right? But
Yeah.
that fear comes out sometimes. So just seeing how you
Yeah.
overcame. So thank you so much for your time and for jumping on the call on leave. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, over to Trustee Dillahunt.
We all had the perfect segue to Q&A time. So we're going to continue now on question time. If you have a question, please raise your hand with the emoji, one of the emojis, or you can type it in the chat and we can direct it. And if you have a directed question at somebody, please say who you're directing it to.
And while you guys are thinking too, we really are thankful for everyone coming out tonight, right? So think of those questions, throw up an emoji, throw it in the chat, right? But truly thank you all for your time. We respect your time. We know we're coming right up on that hour marker. We're sure everybody out there has got a question or two, right? So we'd like to go through a couple questions if y'all have any. And then we'll jump into closing remarks and get everybody off the call. So with that, just still don't see any emojis or any questions in the chat, but just wanted to say thank you to you all for your time.
Hey, DP Bev, you might want to mention that they can't go on the headquarters AFSA and get the campaign. They have to use the form and they have to mail it in, or they could email it in.
Yes, correct. That membership special campaign, yeah, it can't be uploaded through the membership portal on the website, and you cannot get the membership discount if you go online and fill out the online application. It's got to be that membership form, which I shared the screen with earlier, and it must be emailed to member and field services at hqafsa.org. We can drop that in the chat here. And with that, I'll give the floor back over to Trustee Dillahunt because I see a question in the chat. And thank you, Trustee Valdizotti, for that. Thank you.
I also wanted to add, when you email those membership applications in, utilize your personal email, not your government email, because they get hung up for some reason with the government email. So Gmail, Hotmail, Outlook, whatever you have, utilize that when you're sending those membership applications in. The question is from Pena is, what is the best way to process memberships quickly? I did a membership overnight. Like, I sent it in at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and by 8 a.m. Mountain Time, when I woke up, they had already processed it. So for my Member for Life application, and also for my two sons. So they are very fast, like DP Vappy mentioned, they are very fast at headquarters to process memberships. If you forget, like, I forgot my CVV number, they're going to email you, and then you just call it in and tell them. So did I answer your question, though? Do you have anything to add, DP Vappy?
As far as the quick turn on them, the membership specials, to reemphasize, we email those in. Now, AFSA headquarters, to keep in mind, we have a staff of 12 people right now. They are doing a lot of work. From time to time, they do get what's called a wellness week, where they take some time to recoup. Now, they did have a wellness week before last, so there was some lag there during that week of getting information back or processing of applications. But I know some applications that I submitted, they got back to me on Tuesday of this week. They were already answering emails overnight again. So the quickest way to process, from what I've seen, is membership or their email, memberandfieldservices@hqafsa.org. The portal that is on the membership resources tab, once you log into the website, I've never ever once had an issue with processing application there. Sometimes it's even quicker than emailing. But we do our best to get the info out there if they do go on a wellness week. So email, that membership portal, if it's not a membership special campaign, are the quickest ways to process those. And if that did not answer your question, feel free to shoot us a text message or call, talk to your RD. If there's further information needed, we can chat about it here too, or in a messaging direct message feature if you don't wish to share more info in front of everybody. Okay, thank you. Awesome. Hopefully that answered the question.
I got one thing real quick. So one other thing important to note that I didn't know until last week is, can you guys hear me all right? Okay, cool. So when you're filling out the form, a lot of people don't want to put their card information on the form. So where the card number information goes, just put "please call me" and make sure that your phone number on the sheet is legible, and they will call you to get process your payment. So you don't have to send that to somebody with your card information. So make sure you're giving the airman that option as well, because a lot of people are kind of turned off by that. The other thing that you can do as well, if you're new, you can go out of your way and you can use Venmo, Zelle, whatever. They can pay you, and you can use the chapter credit card to pay for it. I just make sure that before I process it for the chapter, that the money hits my Zelle or whatever that is. So I don't have to go chase down payments. But also, like she just dropped in here, right? There's the membership drive tracker. Use that to make sure you're tracking your memberships. It'll give you the opportunity to see who you've submitted. And then when you go back in and verify that it's been processed, you can mark it as processed. So that way you can make sure that your chapter is getting the credit and it's reflecting on your reports as well.
Okay, we've gone past 7. We'll give just another couple moments for one more question. If anybody has any, if you don't have any questions, feel free. What I can tell, all the RDs are on the call except for Mr. Ward. We've even got Chief Lewis on the call. Great to see him. We've got Senior Advisor Tomlinson on the call. We've got everybody, for the most part, everybody on the call here. So this is how important it is for us too, right? We're giving our time to help you all out, reinforce those tools, sharpen the tools. All right, there is a question from April Golden, Family Matters trustee at 1261. Her question is, is there an update for Family Matters trustees? So with Family Matters trustees, there are a couple charges out there right now for Family Matter trustee. One charge right now from Trustee Krantz is to recruit 4 new family members per chapter. If we get 4 new family members per chapter, per active chapter, we had to define that, right? Per active chapter, she said that she'll wear our new Division 6 jersey for a day at the AFSA International Conference. So 4 new chapter members. No sneaking around either. No taking an old AFSA member and marking it as a new member on the application. But that's something there. As far as the updates from the actual committee, they're always looking for inputs from people. They're always looking, just like Chief's message, your voice. We truly are looking for that, and that directly applies to family members as well. And that's something that we're looking to do within the division is get more of that feedback. But this was step 1 of trying to get more info out and generate crosstalk. All right, Trustee Dillahunt, do you see any other questions or anything along those lines? It's 7:04. We're past the hour. Do you have any more questions from everybody, ma'am?
I do not see any more questions, but I wanted to remind chapters that May is Military Spouse Appreciation Month. So if you're doing anything, I don't see Trustee Shabbat on the line. If you're doing anything with your chapters, please let your regional director know so we can up-channel it and let AFSA headquarters know about it. That was from Carrie Krantz, actually. So I don't see any other questions. DP, on to you for closing remarks.
Awesome, thank you. Please bear with me. I had a really, really organized closing remarks, but then Chief Lokovic had a lot of really good things to say. Then so did Senior Wimberly. So bear with me, right? Please. All right. So Senior Wimberly, she had a lot of really good things to say, and a lot of it came down to relatability as well when talking to potential recruits or even retentions, right? One thing that I found works really good for the division and works well for chapters is relatability. And she mentioned that in her slideshow, things that chapters are doing, right? Things that are relatable. What is your chapter doing? You out there doing a blood drive? Are you out there canvassing for information? We've got chapters that are crushing it right now. Social media, more are than aren't, right? A lot of y'all are active. 1261's active, 1260's active, 1320, 1356, 1257, 1179, right? You all are posting those awesome things that you're doing in the community. Take the time to take those photos, whether you're giving an award to ALS, maybe you have an awards program for your local chapter. Maybe it's getting together as an EC, sitting down, breaking bread at a restaurant, having a good time, right? Fraternity. Be relatable is a message that I picked up from that. Something else too that was said was rank. We have people that were elected as A1Cs even on the call right now, right? They were elected to that position of chapter president as A1C, right? Chapter 1261 vice president Alexis Aguirre, she was an A1C when elected to that role, vice president. 1356 Suzanne Douglas, she was elected as an A1C to chapter president. 1372, A1C Bowman. He might have been a senior airman at the time. Maybe I'm wrong, but he was elected A1C senior airman regardless as a chapter president, right? Those are some of our most successful chapters in terms of what they're doing, right? Rank does not equal the ability to communicate or be successful. It doesn't equate to a capability, right? We can foster that. We can groom people. We can guide people. And that's just not within our EC. Build those teams and then share the workload to be successful, right? All right, back to communication in terms of closing remarks. Connect, right? Please connect with your wings. We would like for you all to do it first. We've all been in the seat for a little while now. Chapter presidents have been in the seat for a while. You're coming up towards the end of your term. We expect y'all to talk to those wing command teams, at least the wing command chief, on a one-on-one setting, not just a private org meeting. And I've talked to every chapter president. I know we've talked about it, talked to some ECs too. But please talk to them, because I'm going to start reaching out to all the installation teams. My goal is to start reaching out on 15 May. And we would love it if you all reached out first before they heard from the division. We're going to share some good news with them. We're going to introduce the EC, introduce chapter presidents, share good news about award wins, share good news about the international conference. We want them involved. We need y'all to be involved too. So be current with them, connect with them. And take those opportunities too if you get them to brief at the wings. And when you go to them, right, think about JFK. JFK's got this line that resounds throughout the country, right? Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, right? When you go to talk to these folks, maybe think about that too. We're not going in there to just, hey, Chief, can we get funding to go to the international conference? Hey, Chief, can we get funding to do this? Hey, Chief, can we get this? Hey, Colonel, or hey, General, can we get this? Think about, what do they need? Some of the most historic things that have been done across the association came from that grassroots level that Chief Lockovic talked about. Whether it was BAH increases needed for folks PCSing a few years back, right? It came from the grassroots level. And the folks that are going to have that knowledge are going to be the command chiefs and the first sergeants. And as Chief alluded to, there's times they can't do anything about it, and it keeps them up at night. Try to be those folks that can go in there and offer a solution, offer a voice, right? That might be professional through AFSA outside of the formal military chains. But please connect with your wings, connect with them, be current, because we're going to be reaching out as a division to start engagement with them. All right, then last, we started this so there's more communication. The third Thursday of every month, we're going to hold these, right? RDs, trustees from the division are going to do their best to be on. We hope you guys can be on. This isn't just for executive council members. It's not just for chapter presidents. It's for everybody. If members want to jump on, they're more than welcome to jump on. We're going to be sharing news, try to be as relatable as we can. For the next call, we're going to be talking about POW MIA, and we're going to be talking about the AFSA International Conference. We talked to International President Steve Harrow. He's cleared his schedule. He's going to be on as well. He'll be on for Q&A. He'll be on talk about the international conference and some things going on within the association. Once again, we're going to do our best, right, to give that time back to y'all for questions you might have. Minimum 10 minutes is what we're aiming for, right? Give us the feedback about this session too. If there are things you liked, you didn't like, let us know. But we're trying to help you all out as much as we can. The schedule that we built, we're going to, that Trustee Dillahunt built, we're going to give it to the Executive Council, take inputs on it, but we've strategically built a calendar for the rest of the year that it aligns. It's going to walk us through what's going to happen at international conference with elections. It's going to walk us through awards. It's going to walk us through turnover for your chapters after elections. It'll walk you through what you need to do for elections. We're doing everything we can to help you all out. You all have said you need more comms. We're doing what we can to help out. And with that, that's all I have. You all are doing awesome. Keep crushing it. Talk to each other and let us know if you have questions. That's all we have. Thank you for everybody for coming out tonight. We got our EC on here. We see Chief Lockovic, Chief Duenas, Chief Tomlinson, Trustee Valdezati on here. Thank you all. Oh, DVP Dobler. Oh, and Chris, Trustee Dodd. I can't forget him. I think I forgot him twice already, and I'm owing some serious drinks in Orlando when we get there. I'm gonna have to pull out the Amex and hope that limit's high on it, right? But oh yeah, there's the photo. He's getting ready for it. But no, seriously, thank you all. And we'll hang around for a second. If you all have questions, concerns, comments, feel free to hit us up. Those aren't just words, right? You all have a majority of our numbers. And if you need somebody else's, we'll give that to you. Thank you all and have a great night.
Don't worry, DP. I got you already on my list.
Yeah, you haven't forgot. You have
Oh,
not
don't
forgot.
worry. How could I forget?
All right, we still got some folks on, some folks jumping off. Chief Lewis is on. We got all sorts of good stuff going on. This is a great Thursday night. we got here? So who we still got on? We got 1372, Trustee Fisher on. You got anything for us, Trustee Fisher?
Nothing, sir. Just want to reiterate how great Chief Lockovic's information was. I really appreciated that, and I have a lot to kind of to go over and ponder while I figure out our next steps.
Awesome. Well, we're appreciative you came out and glad you found it beneficial. Let us know if you got any questions. All right, EC. EC got anything? What's going on, y'all? Jeez,
Good.
oh, quiet. The quietest I've ever heard the EC. All right, all right.
It's really neat that we had so many family members that connected tonight. I thought that was great.
There was nobody in the waiting room, so I don't know what everybody. If I was letting people in as they were coming, so I don't know what was going on with people's waiting room thing. So sorry for the technical difficulties. My laptop. Yeah,
It happens.
amazing, amazing.
We adapted.
That's
Correct.
right.
Awesome.
Trustee
Yep.
Donna, I sent you an email. I don't know if you got it about the session that I wanted having you present if you were available.
Okay, I'll check it out, see what's going on.
Perfect. Thank you.
Got Coach over there. You at baseball
I know
practice?
he's at a baseball field, I think.
It's my second home right here.
That's where I want to be right now.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm coaching, not the other way around. You're lucky I'm not yelling.
Probably a little bit warm there, isn't it?
Oh, it was 89, 90 today, so it's not too bad.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, I see you all again soon, and good luck to all of you. And DP, thank you. And Trustee Dillon, good job.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Great
it.
job.
Good job.
All right. Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night.
Thanks, Chief.
Bye.
All right.